Under the scope. Hey everybody, Jared and Shane here with a Scope summer movie review. It has been a long time, and summer is practically over.
This might actually qualify as a fall movie because it doesn't come out till the 9th of September.
But we are seeing it from a meteorological perspective, Jared. This would be considered a summer movie. But from a box office perspective, from a movie producing company perspective, it would definitely be a fall
spring
movie.
2017 film.
There we go. So Jared and I just got out of an IMAX screening of the latest Clint Eastwood / Tom Hanks film, based on a character you might know. He's not even a character, Jared. He's a real person. Of course, I'm talking about Sully.
Chesley, Sully Sullenberger.
You might remember him from his unbelievably awesome Hudson River landing of his U.S. airplane in 2009, was it, Jared?
Yes, 2009, January.
So a few years ago, and I think that the story was compelling enough that Clint Eastwood wanted to take a crack at bringing it to the silver screen.
Yeah, that's what he did.
So, Jared, tell people a little bit about this film, give them a little bit more background. Is there anybody else besides Tom Hanks in this movie that we even need to talk
There's
about?
a bunch of people that you'll probably recognize. I don't really know their names, but you've seen them in other things. The only one I know is Anna Gunn, who was in Breaking Bad. She was the lady investigator.
Okay.
Laura Linney plays Sully's wife.
Yes.
That's his wife.
I believe that's his wife. Who plays his co-pilot?
Gosh, I don't know his name, but you've seen him in a ton of things.
Aaron Eckhart.
That's it.
He's wearing Two-Face.
He's wearing a very fetching mustache.
Yes.
As is Tom Hanks.
And then there's one of the evil transportation directors. You've got Michael Malley.
Okay.
The bald guy.
Is that what his name is?
Yes.
Well,
he was in one of the most critically derided sitcoms of all time, and I cannot... Yes, Dear. He was one of the stars of Yes, Dear, which people don't like that show very much.
Well, people are just... They love... I'm sure there's a fan club out there on the edge of the internet somewhere for that show.
People love to hate, Jared. People love to hate. So tell us about the story.
So, it's ripped from the headlines of 7 years ago. U.S. Airways flight encounters a flock of birds on takeoff from LaGuardia Airport in New York and is forced to try to come back to the airport, but they can't make it. And through the quick thinking of our hero and, as we'll discover, unfairly derided and investigated pilot, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, I just love saying the whole thing, miraculously lands the plane on the Hudson River.
Right on top of us.
A miracle on the Hudson, I believe it's called. Jane.
Yep. And it was impressive.
No fatalities, some injuries, but everyone survived. And it was the big story of the time, and I'm sure people still talk about it. However, this film is not about just celebrating this story. Well, maybe it is. Yeah. But, of course, there has to be conflict, otherwise you don't have a movie. And conflict comes in the form of the NTSB and the FAA and all other government bureaucracy trying to step on the man.
Getting to the bottom of this story, the real story,
right.
Jared.
They got to get in there and they got to squish and squeeze and they got to find a reason to Sully.
And maybe it's for insurance, Jared. I like it. I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But let's just say that Sully's going to be put through the ringer.
He's going to be put through the ringer. He's going to doubt himself. He's going to wonder if he made the right choice. And in the end, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. You'll have to maybe watch the movie to find out. But if you're a fan of Clint Eastwood and his politics, you probably already know the answer.
He did it. That's it.
He did it.
You don't need to see the movie. You don't need to see this movie. Jared, so let's get down to brass tacks. This movie was a product of a fantastic story, of the actual plane landing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real story.
Yeah.
It actually happened.
And it is...
You think that'd be super compelling, right?
It's presented in a fantastic way, and it's presented over and over again, let's be honest.
Right.
You see it. You see the landing about 3 different ways from 3 different perspectives.
Curiously, it doesn't open the film. Well, one version of it does, but not the real one.
But the reality is that everything else that surrounds the crash, everything else that surrounds what really happened, comes off as a hackneyed Lifetime movie. It is melodrama for the sake of melodrama.
Mm-hmm.
where there doesn't seem to be any need for it. I mean, I said to you before we saw this film, Jared, when we saw the trailers, like, was there really this much controversy around this? I mean, maybe there was, but it seems, at least presented by Mr. Eastwood and the writer Todd something.
Todd, never work in this town again.
That it was it was blown up and stereotyped and homogenized for mass consumption, and it fails on every level. Just like both engines, it fails on every level.
I don't know how you make what should be a very compelling story an utter bore. How do you make it into just this film about... I mean, New York is a character. I mean, there's angles where it's like, oh, it's the best of New York coming together and doing the right thing, and everyone just executing and doing their job, and it's all rah this and rah that, and it's just utterly boring.
Yeah.
I was bored like in 10 minutes, and I never got on board.
Cliched to the max.
Bad dialogue. I mean, to be fair, Tom Hanks does a good job.
Tom Hanks is a great actor.
He's a great actor.
Yeah.
And he does really, really well with what he's given. And is definitely...
but he's given garbage.
He's the standout for a good reason in this film, but you expect that of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Everything else going on around him is either a waste of decent acting. There's no film here. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally half the film is hearings and investigations, and they slap on this layer of almost hallucinogenic self-doubt that Sully's having. And maybe he did have that. I don't know. But it all seemed to go away at the end by the time he was vindicated. Yes. Oh, did I spoil it? He got vindicated right at the end through the power of his own singular ability, I guess.
Like we got to a point where I said to myself, now it's time for Sully to solve the crime.
Yeah.
You know, like Sully's going to get down to business and figure this out.
Angela Lansbury showed up practically, and right in the final act, he had
an epiphany, and it really wasn't even that great of an epiphany.
No,
because the story itself, there's not much of a story here beyond the fact that a guy did his job. He did it valiantly.
He hung out in some hotels in New York for a while things were being investigated. The government tried to take him down.
Yep.
Tried to make him into a bad person for some reason until they were proven wrong and went, running away with their tail between their legs.
Yeah, I don't get it.
The politics of this film shine through from almost the very first frame. It's so transparent. But I know there's going to be an audience for this type of stuff because there always is.
Yeah.
In these type of films, and we were probably going to see another hack job of this when Deepwater Horizon comes out.
Yes.
This whole sort of like lionization of heroes that probably don't even need it. I mean, is there anyone out there who was questioning that Sully was very capable at his job and he saved a bunch of lives? No.
Yes.
Are there? Well, apparently, according to Clint Eastwood, there was.
Yeah. It seems utterly strange to me.
It just feels like there's no story there that's at least at all interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And so there's ulterior motives in the film that just stick out like a sore thumb.
What this film does is it takes any sort of level of complexity or black or gray and turns it black and white, good versus evil. When I don't even know if you need that story.
No,
you don't need the story.
I think you could have told this. Well, I mean, told this in real time. He even said it was like 208 seconds.
Yeah.
So
and
I guess there is no real time.
They pretty much did the flights, the landing in real time for the most part. I mean, it was there, and they did it 3 times. That's how threadbare this script was.
It wasn't even like it doesn't even qualify as a biopic because there's so little outside of this core moment that is discussed and dissected that it's just.
And every other character in this film, Jared, is a stereotype.
There's nothing there.
We
don't learn anything. I mean, granted, the film is called Sully. Yes, he's going to be the main character, but nobody else has anything going on.
No, the air traffic controller freaked out. The people he would meet would, offer him a drink or whatever. I mean, it just was like...
It was hero worship. It was the guy doing his job and doing it well. Let's pat him on the back. Yeah. I don't know.
As you said, Sully's character has never been in question. Right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. No. I've never questioned.
So I don't understand.
Should I have been? Apparently, I should have.
I don't understand the angle on this. I don't get it. I
don't know. It feels like it's a moment in time where maybe he questioned himself until he got the facts and he thought it through and he's like, oh no, I was right.
Yeah.
That's good. My dash is a little bumpy apparently. I'm in the new studio car.
As I've said before, Jared, I think this is a movie made out of a story that really could have been a half an hour long.
Yeah, I agree. And it obviously appealed to a certain type of consumer. I'm talking about you gray hairs out there who are more conservative leaning, because we had quite a few of them in our audience, and a number of them applauded at the end. So,
and one got kicked out for being racist.
True story.
That is a true story. And you know what? We'll tell that on our next episode of The Scope, because I think that's an opening segment. So if you love great stories along with great movie reviews, make sure you check out our first fall episode of The Scope coming soon.
We promise.
To a podcast near you.
It's coming.
You know what else is coming at you? A Scope score.
The Scope score is 3/4 star.
All right, we're back. 3/4 of a star, and it was a debate. It could have been lower.
Yeah. We might be on the fringes of this. I'm not sure what the early reviews have been. I haven't seen it.
They can't be good. We can't be off on this one.
No.
This is not a movie that discerning film goers or people that like any sort of complexity in their storytelling is going to like. It just isn't going to happen. Isn't going to happen.
How a movie that is only 96 minutes long felt longer is beyond me, especially from a competent director, at least in the past, Mr. Eastwood.
Oscar award winning, right?
Yeah. But maybe he's just too old and curmudgeon-y now, and he can't do, or it's just a poor choice of story. And a bad script.
I think he wanted to tell a story about a true American hero, and Sully is an American hero, or he's just very, very good at his job. And this was a story he was going to tell, and it was going to come through hell or high water. But there just wasn't enough story to tell.
Yeah, and the bits that were there were just boring and uninteresting.
Unless, as we said, we did give it a little bit more just because of the competency of seeing how the water landing played out. Because it was well done, but still not enough to elevate this film.
And Tom Hanks will always bump it up a quarter star. Automatically. You got a 4-star film with Tom Hanks? Going 4.25.
There we go. Jared.
Yes.
Tell everybody how they can interact with us, the Scope people.
You can like, comment, and subscribe right down below.
It's just that easy.
Simple. Couldn't be easier. I mean, probably a little more difficult than writing the script for this film, but still pretty easy.
So, as I said, the Scope will be back with new episodes. Our fall season kicks off soon, so get ready for that. So for Jared and myself, thanks, summer movie season. You sucked.
More on that in our next episode.
And furthermore, bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying adios. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.